Survivor 50 in the hands of the fans. Season 50, episode 1 underway. We're going to break it all down, recap it all. A lot to say. The Manchild Show with Boy Green, digital, Survivor style, live, starts right now. All right, let's break it down, Boy Green. A lot to get into on this episode. Let's start.
Whoa, hey, my pizza guy. What's going on?
Will woke up with a crab right in his chest. It was so funny. We caught it and ate it.
Give a flying hoops a minute, give your hand.
Oh, the pizza guy. There he was. Last season, we talked with him. Justin Poppy. Talk about him. Episode 1 is in the books. As you see with the open there, Brett LaBelle, usually our third co-host here on the show, but Brett, who is literally is a policeman in the greater Boston area, was called into duty. So we have gotten an ample sub. He has joined us before. He's fantastic too. So we're looking forward to breaking it all down, but it is time to break down Survivor, and we'll be with you for the next hour or so. You can jump in the comments and throw some things down if you want, your take on it, but we'll break down episode 1 of season 50, a 3-hour extravaganza. And I was wondering, where is it all going? And we'll get to call it a cliffhanger-ish ending or a sad ending. I don't know how you want to label it, but it did have an ending, and maybe not the happiest of all endings. But without further ado, let's bring in our third co-host. He's going to chop it up with us as well from Survivor Quotes X. It's Steven. He's back again. What's up, Steven? How are you?
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for having me. This is very exciting.
I'm so pumped. Like, as I watched tonight, 15 minutes, 20 minutes into the episode, I was like, this is going to be a great season. These characters are fantastic. And one of the cool things, and I'll just come right out of the box with this, is many of the players, as I watched the episode tonight, we're talking about, I'm back, maybe for the second time, maybe for the 5th time, maybe for the 3rd time. I mean, we've got people from all over the yard here, all right? And they were all talking about, I'm going to be a 2.0 or a 3.0 or a 4.0 version of myself. So I'll come right out of the box and ask you guys, you heard them all talking about it, who's going to be the best 2.0 version of themselves? Boy Green, why don't you take it first?
Yeah, I don't know how well this 2.0 version is going to go, but I'm just excited about it. The nostalgia, which we'll get into in a second. It's Dragon Slayer, the drama, the tease to the next episode. You know, I think some people forget, not Steven, because he's our resident Survivor historian here on the show, so he'll be able to, give us all the details about it. But Coach's run on Survivor happened a lot in a very short period of time. So we got Dragon Slayer, and now a lot of time has happened as things have happened, him being a father. And I've heard, some of his preseason interviews of how his life has changed. And, but we saw, yeah, there's a lot more silver whiskers, but this 2.0 version of and I'm rooting for him so hard, for all kinds of obvious reasons. But then we saw from the very beginning to get him and Ozzy going at it. South Pacific brought back that plucked my heartstrings to see how it all worked out, where, Coach wins, but, apparently in a squeamish way. And then Mike White stirs the pot back at camp. And then next time on Survivor, hey, this is how I do it, Ozzy. Whoa! So I think it's going to be very juicy.
I love it. Yeah. Steven, who do you think is going to be the best 2.0 version of themselves?
It can be Genevieve. I think she's got it. I think she learned a lot from last time. She struggled, and I don't know. She's got this charm. I have a hard time with some new era players of really feeling attached as opposed to the old seasons, but she's got this charm that I'm invested in anything Genevieve does. If she needs a kidney, she just needs to ask. I love her. And I think she had some time to reflect and realize that it's not as cold of a game that she needs to play like last time. So I think I got some money on Genevieve.
Yeah, she's extremely smart, and she's a lawyer in real life. So she's definitely got the brain. She's definitely got the smarts, and she showed a lot of savvy in the relationship department the last time around. But I do think she learned some lessons. So that's going to be fascinating. I thought it was interesting. Even Mike White 2.0 could be interesting.
Wow.
I mean, Mike talking about his game and how he's going to kind of come in, and he was being that aloof, goofy guy on purpose, and people were buying right into it. And Mike has a really likable quality about him. And then the surprise of it all to me, Mike White sporting a 6-pack. What the heck? Mike White looks like he got ready for Survivor 50. What do you guys think about that?
I was shocked, but he's got it.
Yeah, I very shocked. I'm gonna be honest; it completely caught me off guard. But when he and it's funny, sometimes you notice things in Survivor and you wonder if it turns into a thing, or is it just you? And you're like, oh, okay. So when he took his shirt off, I'm like, holy crap! And here's the picture for folks. I was like, is that a 6-pack on Mike White? Because he was just sort of this, Yeah, he had this. He was a writer and a director and all these other things. And I was like,
He was
okay,
Mr. Schneebly.
yeah, exactly, from School of Rock. And to pull out this, I was like, whoa. And it was just funny. Hey, we heard plenty of White Lotus mentions. I don't know what the over under was for Vegas before this episode, but he was talking about lowering his threat level, the self-deprecating humor, the 6-pack. I mean, talk about that 2.0. Good Lord have mercy. That definitely caught me by surprise. But Lurch, who was yours? Answer your own question.
Yeah, no, Mike White. That's why I brought him up. I just think it's fascinating because he's got a massive target, especially in terms of being the winner, because, he's become wealthy now. I mean, he's got this unbelievable, hit show, and he's directing and writing it, and just success is he's breathing success right now. He's living the LA dream. So he's got a tough road to hoe. But the one thing that you can't take away from him, regardless of what his life circumstances are, is he's just likable. You just want to like the guy. I want to hang with that guy. He just seems like a fun, likable guy. He's so unassuming in so many ways. He doesn't intimidate. I don't know. This is something very likable about Mike.
Well, let me ask you guys, because obviously Mike plucked a lot of heartstrings talking about his hardships of filming on islands and White Locusts, and he's sort of covering his tears with his Benjamins. And I saw that was not received well on social media. On every commercial break, I'm of course checking out Steven, obviously, and I'm looking Survivor quotes X and hashtag Survivor, and I saw immediately people going, yeah, all right, Mike White, I'm sorry for your emotional confessional you just gave. I felt it a little, but apparently the fans did not. They did not buy any of that, and the struggles apparently he goes through. Steven?
I don't know. I like the emotional confessionals in Survivor, and I always feel bad. I feel bad for players that get hate for it, because this is a really stressful game, and as much as we're fans, if I'm out there by myself without any friends, family, let alone food, sleep, like, of course I'm gonna cry. Like, it's such an isolating experience, and for Mike White to feel that way, he's got the money, he's got the career, so it really must be a struggle. Like, it's not him just being in a bad mood or feeling spoiled and whatnot. Like, I think it's a real thing he's going through. I don't know. I don't like the hate for the emotions.
All right, let's not bury the lead, boys. I think speaking of emotions, because it got me, I was tearing up. I'll be honest. I try not to. I don't know how it is for you, Steven, or you, Lurch, or anyone in the audience. I know a lot of Survivor fans pay attention to this. I try not to, because I don't want it to take away from the experience. There's a lot of people that know how long an episode is. They check their watch and see what time it is and go, wait a second, something doesn't make sense here. Something has to happen, or this or that. Normally, I don't pay attention, but tonight is unique with it being 3 hours for an opening. So you started to pick up some pieces like, oh boy, some of the timing is a little weird here. What's going to happen? And I thought what we saw, unfortunately, in the challenge with Kyle, I'll be honest, when Kyle first got hurt in my head, I'm like, God, I hope that's not an Achilles. But the way the doctors immediately came in, I'm like, from a couple of sports guys here, you can normally, on the football field anyway, I imagine it's the same in anything else, a doctor can, or nurse practitioner, whoever's out there, can feel behind the ankle very quickly and goes, oh, it's gone, or it's not. And the fact that they apparently checked him and said nothing, I was like, wow, okay. So, bullet dodged, as long as he didn't break his ankle, which I of course was hoping he wasn't. That was my first thought. And when they checked him and nothing happened, I'm like, oh, thank goodness for Kyle. But then again, how the episode's setting up, I'm like, oh, this is sort of setting up for a medical eval. And when they did all the tests and went through it, I was just heartbroken for Kyle. I was tearing up at the end there, boys.
Yeah, like what a crummy way to go out, after all that. I mean, of course, he has the fact that he's a winner already, but still, like, that sucks. I was heartbroken for him. Oh, I can't imagine going out that way.
Season 52.
And it almost felt like the tribe, felt it even worse than he did. I mean, I'm sure he felt bad, but man, that tribe, and let's break down the tribes real quick. All right. We'll go through them real quickly. All right. We're going to have many more episodes to talk about the tribal dynamics, but the purple tribe, which is Vatu, is the tribe that Kyle is on. And it's Rizzo, Stephanie, Colby, Aubrey, Genevieve, Kyle, Angelina, and Q. I mean, what a cavalcade of a tribe there. You've got people from all over the place. You've got some old schoolers, you've got some modern players, you got some kooks in there, Q. You never know what the heck he's going to do. You've got some strategic players in there. They were setting up as a really good tribe, and it was fascinating to me, that early scene where Colby was not liking Rizzo at all. He was like, oh, this kid talks too much. He's annoying.
Oh, yeah. Here's the quote. Rizzo is...
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, here's the quote. Rizzo is annoying as hell. That was his immediate first impression of him. Yes.
And then now they're doing a fashion show later on, and all of a sudden he's starting to warm up to Rizzo and saying, hey, this guy can be a little fun around camp. And, life gets boring on that island. I'm sure Brett has talked about it time and time again. You need people that tell you stories, that make you laugh, that do silly things. It kind of brightens up your day. So Colby's feeling that, and then they end off, in the jungle together. And the next thing you know, they're having a hug me moment. And, Rizzo's pouring his heart and soul about how, what happened with his family dynamics and how he looks up to Colby, and Colby is almost the age of his dad. And, and now this whole heartwarming moment happens. You're like, I guess Colby and Rizzo are okay, man. This is all back together, man. It was really fascinating.
I think if I ever met Colby, I would do the exact same thing. So I get it.
Yeah, right. And to be honest, that's another 2.0 that, there are certain tigers that can't change their stripes. And when Colby's talking about, the advantages in the game and things of that nature and how it all, one of my favorite parts was he was talking to Genevieve, and he said, hey, there's something you just got to know right at the beginning of this alliance. I'm blind in this eye and I can't hear out of this ear. And she went, all right. Okay. And then, all right, let's move forward. And then, that was just funny. By the way, here is the tribe. I'll try to highlight them when we're talking about them here. So no, there's a 2.0 to Colby, because and Steven can speak to this too. So Colby comes on our TVs for the first time ever. Again, the 25 years ago. And we see Colby, America's sweetheart, he's got the cowboy hat. We're like, yeah, here's America, baby. And when he came back for Heroes Villains, it seemed like Colby hated being there. And that broke my heart as a Survivor fan. Mm-hmm. And then to now see him here, where he just seems so much more appreciative. He whatever happened leading into Heroes Villains is broken away, and he just seems like a totally different guy. Like I said, Steven, you could speak to it too as a diehard Survivor fan, seeing all these seasons about the different versions of Colby's we've seen over time.
Yeah, I mean, seeing him now, it's 4 times. We saw him in Australia, and Australia was his top tier season, obviously. And then All Stars he plays, and he's kind of not interested in being there, it seems like, even though he was doing okay, and then with Lex and everything happened. And then, like we said, Heroes versus Villains, he comes in and he's kind of just checked out right away, even as soon as episode 1. So when this cast was announced, I was like, oh, Colby, like, I don't know if he's going to basically have a redo of Heroes versus Villains. Is he going to just crash out and be kind of bored? But this episode, he had that intensity in his eye, and just the way he was speaking, I was like, oh no, Colby's locked in. Like, even if he goes out first, like, he's not going to go out just willy-nilly. Like, he's excited to be there. So I'm excited to see Colby 4.0. And can we just say he's also like one of the best narrators in this show when it comes to confessionals. Like, I'm listening to him talk, and I'm like, just the way he phrases his sentences, and like, I can follow along perfectly, and it just makes perfect sense. And he's got that charm. Like, I don't know, Colby in this era, in the 50s, like his age and season 50, like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Colby go pretty far.
Yeah, he could go deep. It's interesting because I thought coming into this episode, and you don't know anything about what the dynamic's going to be like, but having come off that All-Star season where he didn't look good, and a lot of people kind of teasing him, it was like Colby out of shape, Colby not engaged, Colby not winning anything. I mean, he was so dominant as a challenge beast kind of guy, the young Colby, and I just felt like age didn't treat him well, and now he's we'll call him a silver fox. He's in his 50s and he's still a great looking guy, and it looks like he got ready for this. I mean, again, maybe we'll find some of those things out after the fact, but it just seemed like he got himself ready for this. And there was some physical challenges in this first episode, and he looked like he was more than up to the challenge. So I think he's, physically, I think he's going to hold up pretty well for a guy that's in his 50s, which is never an easy thing. I can tell you that from experience, my friends.
It's interesting though, like he's played in Australia, which is 42 days, and now he's going to play in the new era, which is 26 days. Like that's almost half. Like it's such a big change, and then the pace is faster. But I think he did pretty well. The only mistake he really made was with Savannah when he lost the journey, that he just assumed that she wouldn't get anything, and just kind of walked away from that. But other than that, he was on top strategy wise. So I was impressed with Colby.
One other interesting dynamic in that tribe, and you guys both react to this, was that little stare down / conversation, if you could call it, between Genevieve and Aubrey. Two very strategical people, and getting together and trying to maybe, hey, can we get together? And it was like, no. It was like water and oil, man. Like, that's not going to work. So talk about that and how that could upset the apple cart in this particular tribe.
Yeah, to me, it was a little bit, I felt like Aubrey just read the wrong, again, it's all edit, so we always have to caveat that we're seeing what they tell us to see, but it just seemed like Aubrey read the wrong vibe, that she sort of came like, hey, I just want to know what kind of game you're trying to play, and that just feels so personal, like, hey, what, like, we're joking and talking about this, and all of a sudden, you come right to, in my face and to my throat about something like that. Like, what kind of game are you trying to play? Are we going to be able to work together? And I felt uncomfortable watching. I'm like, ugh.
Me too.
Yeah, like so it felt like it takes two to tango, of course, for any problem. But it felt like Aubrey was bringing the negative vibes, which Genevieve didn't respond to. But Stephen, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I fully agree, and I don't think Genevieve is someone to forget that. And if those two teamed up, it would have been a good deal, and I think they would have done well. But Aubrey was immediately suspicious and just so dismissive of Genevieve, and I don't know if that was such a good idea to do right out of the gate.
Yeah,
just to kind of douse the fire and say, like, I don't know. If I'm Genevieve, I'm looking at Aubrey now like, I can't work with this woman. Like, she doesn't trust me at all.
Yeah.
So that was
and Lurch, before we move on to another tribe, because we can sort of address people that are on the screen and then go from there. So there is, at the beginning of seasons, media is allowed to cover. They're all on top of the normal cameras and everything that are capturing all this great stuff for Survivor. They allow the media for, like, I think it's like the first 3 or 4 days to capture anything they want. So we were on Twitter, if you like, when they went to TV breaks, you could catch up on things. And media people were telling us what got cut out of the episode. Like, here were things that actually happened, but they didn't show this. And one of the things they didn't show, apparently, was Angelina's negotiation, apparently. And she, after they won the fishing gear, Vatu won the fishing gear, she apparently, according to the media people, tried to negotiate with Jeff and said, hey, we'll switch this out for a tarp. And then Jeff went like, yeah, that's a no starter. No, we're not going to do anything there. As the woman who attempted to negotiate a jacket at one point, and Rice, and man, she's had a lot of historic moments on the show. That was interesting that they didn't show it. And let me ask you, Stephen and Lurch, feel free to jump in too. Like, do you again, I guess you can only show so much on 3 hours, even though that's, the most you could possibly have. Is that too contrived? Like, Angelina tried to force something from her past in? Is that was my first thought of maybe why they didn't include something like that, because she's sort of known for that sort of thing. So that felt too contrived, maybe. What do you think, Stephen?
I mean, I think it was a good idea for her to do that. We've been in Fiji since season 33, and I can't really think of anyone catching big fish or living off the land like they used to. So I don't know how valuable fishing gear is compared to the utilitarian use of a tarp. So I was kind of, when I read that tweet from Mike Bloom, I was like, that wasn't a bad idea. But maybe they did cut it because it's like, all right, Angelina, are you just doing this for TV? But I don't know. But if anyone would have done it, it would have been Angelina. So
For sure,
I'm not surprised.
And I didn't find her to be a great negotiator in her season anyway, Boy Green.
Oh, there you go.
She's the greatest negotiators, but I know she did negotiate, apparently, right? And did get some things for her tribe. I do remember back. So a pretty good tribe, the Vatu tribe. Interesting, though, and the loss of Kyle is really going to change the dynamic in that trial. They really had an alliance kind of lined up where looks like it was going to be 5 against 3 at the very least, and they were going to have control if you throw Q into that equation with the other 4 that were all coming together. But now with Kyle out, Q losing his vote, Colby has no vote. Oh my goodness. I mean, that thing could go completely the other way. And dare I say, that tribe could flip to the other side. So we'll see where that goes. How about,
by the way, real quick, just those 5 for people that were kind of in and out on it for the Vatu tribe would have been Colby, Genevieve, Q, Kyle, Stephanie. And then Stephanie would have been that 5, but now obviously it gets a lot more complicated.
That could all be broken up. Now you've got Angelina and Rizzo. We haven't seen him align with anyone yet.
Missing votes.
Where is that going to go? And then you've got these missing votes. So it's going to be fascinating. Let's go over to the Teal tribe, or Kalo as they're called. And Kalo is Camilla, Chrissy, Charlie, Mike White, Tiffany, Jonathan, Coach, and D. So you've got some serious strength on this team for sure. Jonathan, right back to where he was, the human ladder and doing all kinds of supernatural things. And then he even had an interesting thing where he's like, I'm going to think a little strategy in this one here. So anybody that thinks he's just the dumb muscular guy, look out. Jonathan might bring a different game here. I wonder if he could get pretty deep in this game, although he did get decently deep in his season before he got knocked off. Give me your thoughts on this tribe, Steven.
I don't know. There's something about this tribe that just doesn't vibe with me. I feel like they're not getting along as much as the other 2. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but it seems like there's a little tension here. I don't know. I love Chrissy, but this Chrissy versus D thing is I'm not loving it. I love both of them together, and the thought of losing one of them to each other just guts me. And I don't know, but this tribe's just not doing it for me.
Yeah,
I see Coach and Jonathan. I see a good connection there, physical and, kind of and I think Charlie's always flexible. He can bounce with anybody. I think he's a pretty flexible guy too. But, this tribe is split 4-4. So we're going to see what kind of lines this goes on. What are you thinking about this one, BG?
Well, of course, I have to cheers Dragon Slayer having a toe ring since 1988 that he's never taken off, including showers. And he said, you know what? Survivor 50 is the first time I should take this off and give it to Charlie. So Charlie didn't get. I love Charlie from a season, but he didn't get a lot of screen time. So I'm glad he was able to work that toe ring in there. I thought, Dragon Slayer and Jonathan getting together is like the most predictable thing of all time. 2 warriors and handshake and make something of it. Obviously, you've got Mike White in this group. And again, Mike White got a ton of screen time. He's fascinating. He's obviously a really good storyteller. He has a 6-pack now. And so he, to me, is going to be super fascinating. I wasn't going to say this, but I guess I'll just say it. Like, of this group, the person that I guess I hate the most or just I'm so indifferent to is just sort of Tiffany. Like, Tiffany just doesn't really do anything for it. I'm almost like, with all due respect, why are you even here? Especially with 50. Like, 50 is such a seismic thing to me, and maybe we'll get into that with some other people that are on these tribes. I just felt like perhaps that spot could have gone to somebody else, but the overall group, Chrissy, I like a lot. Dee, I think, is amazing, and she just has so much charisma and sort of this infectious aura, which is phenomenal. So yeah, I like this group, but again, there are, to Steven's point, there are a few wrenches in here.
I think if I had to pick one person out of this entire cast and say, if there's one person that I would take, I think Tiffany would actually be the one. I just didn't think that she really
would take out.
That I would take her out, right?
Oh, okay.
I also think having both Kyle and Camilla, I think they just should have made a decision between the 2 of them rather than bringing them both back.
And
Joe,
Joe
I
obviously
given a spot. I might have given a spot there because you also had Joe. But Joe, I think the Joe dynamic is different. But Kyle and Camilla were already seriously working together. I mean, that was they were
3 from 48. 3 from 48 is so over.
That could have been 2, and it probably should have been one or the other, either Kyle or Camilla. Go ahead. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, and 3 from 46 I thought was a bit overkill. And I agree with you with Tiffany. I think she's a nice person. I thought she was entertaining on 46, but big enough of a name to be on 50, I didn't think so.
Right.
So I'm not too thrilled with that fact that she's out there. That being said, I would like to be pleasantly surprised by her. I liked her teaming up with D, so I could see that kind of doing something positive. I don't know if they're too far on the outs now, but with Camilla, that threesome could be a little more powerful. So I'm cautiously optimistic about that.
Yeah, I think T's got a massive target on her back, but she's crafty. And if anyone can get herself out of a pickle, she might be the one. She was very, very crafty in her season. I think Chrissy's the one that's in big, big trouble on this tribe.
Yeah,
unless somehow she just gloms onto an alliance and becomes that extra vote, and then somehow that advances her in the game. But already seeing some aggressive strategical thoughts from her, and she's really not in a position yet to be making those strategical things. So I think she's a little bit, just like Jenna got a little ahead of herself by going right after the jugular for Sari, and it got her knocked out tonight. I think Chrissy might get herself knocked out just being a little too aggressive strategically.
Yeah.
When I saw her on the water talking with Coach and he was not reciprocating, I was like, oh, this is not good.
Oh, this is trouble. Trouble.
That is never a good sign. Two things on Camilla, and obviously they're tied together here. This is a it's almost like a car accident. When we're driving by, we have to watch it. Like Camilla's reaction when she finds out that Kyle was just medically evacuated, her ride or die, her everything. Yeah. And then that's devastating. But the other side is, I'm sure a small piece of Camilla, maybe she won't say it on the show, but she'd say it on a mountaintop. This is great for my game. Yes, I don't want to be connected with Kyle. So, correct. I'm sure that she loves that 3 representatives of 48 are there, and that's sort of a magical, cool thing. But, she didn't get to play her game. Who knows what it would have been without Kyle in 48, but now she's going to have to live a life. She wasn't on his tribe, obviously, so far, before we get any crazy mix-up or anything. But that's what I'm curious for. The devastation, unfortunately, of Kyle, and we all want to see that. But also for Camilla herself, how does her game blossom? How does it exist on its own without the presence of Kyle? I'm sort of fascinated by that.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating, too. Let's go over to the Orange Tribe, or Sela, as they're known. My favorite buff this season, very bright orange. We are from the land of Syracuse, where the orange reigns supreme here. And on that tribe, you've got the defending champion, Savannah, who showed out very well already in this one and has a secret advantage. Although I love Rick Devens. Oh, man. Devens is fantastic. You got Ozzy, right? Very, very tricky. He's in a tricky, precarious position.
Wait, Lurch. He's Oscar now. He's Oscar now.
I'm sorry. I'll call him Oscar. Okay. You got Christian. Man, great edit for him tonight. He was terrific. That scene where he used the eyeglasses to start the fire. We got to talk about that. Sari, Jenna, who was voted off, obviously, Joe, Emily, and Devens rounds out that tribe. So you see him there. Give me your thoughts on this tribe. I'm really liking the vibe in this tribe. Some really, really interesting people here.
Yeah,
this is my favorite tribe of all of them.
Yeah. Let's go first. Yeah, go ahead, Stephen.
No, this is my favorite tribe. I think these tribes are kind of put together. I was joking on Twitter. I said, these tribes are put together like a ransom note. They're just all these letters cut together and just pasted. But I love the message they're sending. And I don't know, there's something about this tribe that I am vibing with. And I hate that Jenna went early. I was so excited to see her back, but she shot herself in the foot. I think targeting Sari was the right move, but she didn't go about it the correct way. I don't know. And then there was also Savannah. I was worried that she would be targeted right away for being a winner. And I know she wanted to go in and not tell anyone she won, but someone on the cast came up to her during Ponderosa and said hey, I know you won. You can't hide it. So that would have been that would have been an interesting way to see if Savannah could play and not tell anyone she won. Of course, I think Rizzo would have eventually told, but
of course,
I don't know. To see Savannah not on the outs right away, I wasn't surprised, but I'm happy about it. I think she's doing pretty well. And Ozzy, it's his 5th time, and he's finally saying I'm going to play strategically. Come on, Ozzy.
He almost got voted out. They were close. I think they were thinking about it. It certainly seemed like they were in the edit, that they were thinking about it. Let's just blindside Ozzy and get him the heck out of here, man.
Yeah, that one felt kind of fake to me. I think, to keep the drama alive, the sense of it, of Devens and everybody saying, wow, he's being super defensive of Sari, and that doesn't seem to make sense with their histories. But I was hoping, because, again, here's the thing that we're ultimately going to get to here. We could talk about it here with Jenna. I'm going to be honest, 99% of the people, apparently outside of Tiffany, like who get voted out, it's going to be devastating. I just lost a best friend. Like all these people, I think Christian said it best at Tribal Council. Survivor is about stories. All of these people have stories. So when in theory, these lives were on the line, Oscar tonight, Ozzy, I'm never going to get used to that. Ozzy, Sari, Jenna. The cool thing I would just say, and I want to give a shout out to this so we don't forget it. The opening of Survivor 50 was one of the greatest openings we've ever seen. The highlight montage, the moments they picked, whoever did that did a marvelous job. There were funny moments, there were goofy moments, there were crying, loving, this, that, or the other. There was a beautiful combination. I love that. Unfortunately, Jenna went out. I didn't want that, just like Steven. But if she was going to go out, I'm glad we got all the ringings of the gong, pun intended, for all of season 1 to get that in there and work that into the 3 hours and honor tradition, honor history. 26 years, 50 seasons. I mean, this is just this is unbelievable. This is magical. This is all those things that are above. So yeah, I'm devastated for Jenna. But if you're Jenna, there's no better way to go out. Like, you go guns a-blazing, you go swinging. It's not like she was just hanging around and said, hey, let's get rid of the chick that has no idea what the new game's about. Like, let's get rid of her. I'm glad at least she went out on her sword a little bit, even if, again, it sucks to go out on the sword at all.
And she was swinging for the fences to going for Sari. That's the biggest player. Like,
of course.
And if she would have been successful, as much as I love Sari and would never have wanted her to go first, that would have been the best move for Jenna and therefore the rest of the tribe. I think if you let Sari sneak past the first vote, she's done it 4 other times. Like, she's always been the early target, and then it never happens. It's like Sandra in the first 2 seasons. She should have gone first, but then she ends up so to not take out Sari, I think, was a big blunder. But Jenna, she can walk out with her head held high, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think strategically it's going to come back to bite them. Plus, you've got to deal with Sari in the challenges. And Christian said it well. I mean, they just made a mistake in making the decision with one part of the challenge where one person had to do it. And they put Sari on that one. Like, what are you thinking? You've got to strategize better to not have that situation come up.
So this is what the media said covering it. And
right,
Steven, if I'm misrepresenting this, let me know. I believe it was Dalton Ross who said that Sari, from how close they were, apparently volunteered to do it because she had done it. And now this is where I may mess it up. Survivor Australia, she did something similar, but they didn't have. There was some. I'm going to mess up whatever it's called. There's some like cage or something that they couldn't go past. So it affected her throwing motion. They had something stopping in the Survivor Australia version. Apparently that didn't exist. So you had your full range of motion to throw it or whatever. So you had to sort of compensate for whatever that structure was in front of you that you weren't allowed to go through. So apparently Sari was confident from having done that version is why she apparently volunteered for this. Steven, did you hear sort of the same thing?
Yeah, she had done it in the Australia versus the World season, but
yes,
I think the secret with that monkey's fist thing is to swing it and then in a circular motion, and right in front of Sari and the other 2 was this net kind of thing. So I don't think she could get that full range of motion. So it was more of an overhand toss, and unfortunately, that just wasn't Sari's wheelhouse. But I don't know. I wouldn't volunteer myself in a challenge like that if unless I was 100% confident.
Right, the key piece of it, yeah.
Jenna's gone, but I thought she had maybe the line of the night when she said, "This is death row." Ooh, that was so cryptic, so cold when she said that about the elimination. As it turns out, she got eliminated, but that was cold and calculating, man. I thought that was one of the lines of the night. That was.
And she also had that other great line when she gets voted out and she goes first in, first out. That was poetic.
Yeah, here's the full line, Larch. I wrote it down because I caught it like you did. Survivor 50 isn't Gen Pop. It's death row. You had to do some serious shit to get over here, get blood on your hands. And I was just like, wow. Because, again, prison terms, Gen Pop. No. Like, this is a maximum security prison. You don't get on season 50. And she was sort of saying that, obviously, to Savannah. And we agree or disagree with the decision. Steven giving us a bit more details of maybe why Savannah decided to, share that she ended up winning and sort of using it in a group setting. Because, if you tell one person that privately, that is such powerful information that could easily leak and make you look really questionable very quickly. But I will also agree with you, Steven, that Savannah in this group, right? they know the least about her and Rizzo in the other tribe that we were talking about as well. She'd be easy pickings. We don't know anything about her. Hey, we don't know anything. Let's gang up and just get rid of her. So the fact that she sort of assimilated herself so well is impressive.
Yeah, when they were all sitting together right before Tribal discussing the 3 targets, and she's right there leading the conversation with Christian and Devins and Joe and Emily. And I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Savannah does pretty well.
What do you think of the little trio there on the Sela tribe, the Orange tribe, of Emily, Devins, and Christian? Christian calling himself Mr. Spock and giving Devins the Captain Kirk role in this. What is Emily? Lieutenant Uhura? I mean, give me the sense of this, man. We're going old school Star Trek here.
I love the 3 of them working together. It's like a nerd's dream. I love it.
And I also love that, the dipping of the toes in the water. So this is where we can get super deep. Steven, we're not going to do our Survivor Fantasy Draft until next week, but I believe we are going to do it before the next episode. And sometimes your knowledge can help you, and sometimes your knowledge can hurt you. Knowing who has worked together in the past, literally on Survivor, it could be insightful information. Some of them at these Survivor parties, we hear from Brett all the time. They're all commingling, drinking, eating, going to all these parties and everything together. And that can sometimes create some connective tissue. So I love that Devins and Christian, right? Like Devins is thinking in his head, hey, I really want to work with Christian, but I don't know how to tell him. And does he feel the same way? It's that he was using the like in school and passing the note around. And it's so cool that they did sort of connect, because obviously some other people, I've seen it on social media, they hated the Devins, like the Survivor here just in from the Survivor news deck. I think that stuff's kind of cute and funny, but I saw a lot of people
hate. Yeah, he gets too much
I know.
hate.
And oh my God, I saw the fans saying, yeah, this got annoying on the first one. And I'm like, Jesus, people, have a little fun, for God's sake.
Yeah, but I'm a big Devins fan. He's great TV. And the hate on Twitter, I think, is too much. And now they're going to come after me. But I think he's a nice guy. He's a nice family guy. And I don't know. He's funny. He brings this levity to everything. And I don't know. I like Devins.
All right, let's start with talk a little about the journey. We are going to see journeys, and this is interesting because we're going to find out things along the way here about what the fans voted for. But clearly, one of the things they voted for, journeys are in, and hey, Exile Island is back, gentlemen. I mean, we got a little Exile Island situation where Q and Ozzy had to hang out on Exile after they lost that challenge to Coach. Fascinating stuff, and we've got several secret stuff, idols already in the mix, and we'll have to talk obviously about the celebrity flavor to it all, because we've got a Billie Eilish boomerang idol to discuss. But talk about what we saw in terms of the context of some of the layers that the fans clearly want in this season 50.
Yeah, so here I have 3 of the things. Steven, if you have any more, let me know. And we're going to find out as we progress through the season, apparently what the fans voted on. And some people are just going to discover it in one way or another. So fans forced the players to fight for rice and to earn it. Fans forced the tribes to fight for supplies. And then the voting we heard on the idol play was 80% yes, which obviously led us to the Billie Eilish idol, Billie Eilish boomerang idol. I need to get all their words in there.
That's so cheesy. I can't take it seriously.
Yeah, I know. Which we should get into that part too. And apparently another layer of it was dynamic power of idols. Would it be strategic? Would it be dynamic? That part apparently was also voted for dynamic. So before we get into any of the specifics here, Stephen, you swim, Survivor quotes, X, you swim in the pool of social media. Seeing these results, a lot of fans are skeptical that their voting really counted, and that perhaps when they got all the voting in, they went, yeah, blah, 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 thumb on the scale. Yep, we wanted this to happen. We wanted this to happen. We wanted this to happen. Yeah. Are you a conspiracy theory guy here, Steven? Do you believe that it was the season of the fans, or did Survivor producers and everybody just do what they want?
It's tough because I think you look at Cambodia where they had the fan voting. If they really had their thumb on the scale, I think they maybe would have had some casting choices that were a little different. That being said, I have recently been dabbling in the casuals on Facebook, and they are truly different than what I see on Twitter and Instagram, just the point of views. So I wouldn't be surprised if the results that we're seeing are legit. But that being said, give them Rice. Let them be more energetic for these challenges. I want to see it.
And by the way, if Billie Eilish has to get in on this season, then doesn't Sia have to get back in on the season somehow?
Yeah, where's Sia after all this?
Advantage or something along those lines. My goodness, man, we got to get into some of that for sure.
Yeah, okay, let's get into the Billie. Oh God, I got to read it every time I have it written down. The Billie yeah, there you go. Lurch has it down pat, so God bless America. The thing I want to get into was a Dalton Ross quote that he had for his story, and he said he was going to go deeper into his post-game article. But I just want your guys' thoughts on this, on the celebrity inclusion. And here's a quote from his story. I haven't gotten to read the full story because obviously we went on live immediately after this. But he said, quote, "Survivor fans want to feel like Survivor is enough. We don't need bells and whistles like fancy celebrities adding in their 2 cents or getting to make a cameo because they're on Jeff Probst's speed dial. The show and game itself should be enough, especially on Survivor 50. And by having all these pop culture personalities on it, it sends the message that it's not enough and that it is vaguely insulting to people that love the show for the show and don't want to see it become a celebrity showcase just because famous people happen to like it." What's your response to that, Stephen? And that's in reference, obviously, Billie Eilish, Boomerang Idol, and as we've been
Mr.
teased,
Beast. Yep.
Yeah, Mr. Beast, and who's the country singer that rolls up at some random point with a fish?
Yes.
Zach Bryan or whoever it is, or he just randomly pops up. They're like, "Who the hell?" And he has a fish. So that's Dalton's response. He feels like a little bit can be a little bit cheesy. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with Dalton, and the fact that Genevieve found it is the only saving grace. Like when she's saying it, I'm not rolling my eyes, but the whole thought of these celebrity cameos and all these tie-ins, I think it's a little insulting, even to the fans too. So I'm trying to be optimistic and I'm hopeful, but I think it's just kind of like it's too cheesy for me.
It takes me a little out of it. I will say that when I feel this way when I go to watch a movie or anything, I suspend my disbelief at the door. When I'm watching Mission Impossible, I don't go, "Well, that 360-degree split would have made him unconscious in the middle of the air. Sorry, Tom Cruise, that doesn't make sense." No, I don't think of any of that. I'm like, "Whoa, cool spin, man," or whatever it is. I suspended all disbelief at the door. So when the Billie Eilish thing popped up, they're all like, "Oh, Billie Eilish must be a fan of the show." And for a second, it took me out of it. And I just tried to say, "Paul, get off your front porch, stop yelling at the tide and yelling at the kids to get off your lawn." And I felt the way that Dalton did when I read his quote. But in the middle of the episode, like I said, I just sort of told myself, like, "Come on, Paul, get with the times, adapt." Jeff Probst says it all the time about we're going to try a lot of stuff and you, the fans, will tell us whether you like it or not. But we wouldn't be here in season 50 if we didn't take chances. And I just remember that quote in my head all the time. So that's what I tried to tell myself when I even thought dismissively of it. I'm like, "Come on, Paul, let's give it a shot and see." And to be honest, I thought the idea, and we could get into it, was kind of neat and kind of cool. So that's interesting. Lurch, what did you think about all this celebrity stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with what you guys were saying earlier there, just about, like, why do you need more? Why do you need more to make Survivor work? I mean, part of the whole theory behind season 50 is that you're bringing on, you're bringing back people, you've got crowd favorites, you're dipping deep into the early seasons with some of the members, you're bringing some interesting alliances together. I just think there's enough sizzle there that you don't need to over sizzle it. I mean, when we talk to Brett all the time, and if he were on tonight, I guarantee he'd be going nuts about that Billie Eilish thing. It's just the thought of, we're doing something to the game here. We're homogenizing the game, or we're trying to take the game someplace where it was never meant to be taken. I mean, go back and look at those old seasons. I mean, we don't have to go back to season 1 and season 2 world, but there already have been so many changes to the game itself. So to bring in celebrities, I don't know. I'm just not buying it either. I'm not that excited about it, but we'll see. Maybe they can spin it the right way. Maybe it can be interesting. When they started throwing crazy advantages out there, at first I didn't love some things, but then it made the game more interesting and made you have to remorph and rechange your game all the time. And there was something kind of cool about that, at least from a watcher standpoint.
Yeah, here are the rules.
Let players play.
Yeah, let the players play.
Yeah, here's the rules of it for the Billie Eilish boomerang idol that's going to get me all season. So Genevieve finds it. The kicker is she has to send it to one of the other tribes. And then again, the thought process is, do I give it to someone that I can build a bridge with? And eventually, hey, I was the one that gave it to you.
Yeah.
And we're all together and it's happily merrily. Or do I give it to some schmo who's going to get arrogant? And, I could use it till final 5. Keep it in the back pocket. They get whacked. And then you get it back. So an interesting thought process. And then Ozzy ends up getting it, which is interesting. I'll go to you first, Lurch here. Did you like the idea of it?
Well, it's something we've never seen before. So, I mean, I'll say that. I mean, anytime you've got something new in the game in terms of how an idol works or what powers it has, that was kind of interesting. And it was absolutely fascinating that it landed in Ozzy's lap of all places. Like, there's no connective tissue between Ozzy and Genevieve. So how the heck does it land there? And Ozzy might need it, because Ozzy is in he's in a precarious situation in that tribe right now. I mean, they probably, don't want him to go too early because he is a challenge beast. I mean, we saw him. I mean, just see him swimming in that water. I was like, oh my God, he is leaving.
Jungle Boy is back.
I mean, that was unbelievable. So all these years have gone by. You'd think he'd have slowed down a little bit. It doesn't look like he's slowed down at all. So from that perspective, I think it's going to make the game more interesting. That Ozzy now has something in his hand that he's going to be able to utilize, and maybe he can, end up blindsiding somebody else, and that will make that tribe dynamic change very, very drastically. So I'm intrigued by it, and I think it landed in the lap of a player that I think is going to make the game more interesting down the road.
I also noticed that when Ozzy got the idol and read the clue, that he can't play it on anybody else. He can only play it for himself. That's a new twist. I kind of like that.
Yeah, and I did like Genevieve's theory there that Ozzy has gone home with an idol in his pocket before. And if I want to get this thing back, let's put it in, dare I say, the sucker's hand again, who's overconfident, doesn't think they're going to get blindsided, and then they end up getting blindsided.
But that's why I love returning player seasons, because I feel like I'm having like a fever dream where I'm thinking of Genevieve sending an idol to Ozzy. And I'm like, I watched Ozzy when I was in like middle school, and now he's like 2026. He's here with Shambo's mullet, and he's got an idol that was given to him by a Canadian player who's now on. That was my tweet right there.
Yeah. There you go. Which again, I did find that fascinating. The hoop earring, a little piratey there. That was a nice touch. But again, I feel the same as you, Steven. Like, I'm seeing these worlds collide of Jenna and Joe on this, and you're like, whoa, like I just saw this guy, and now he's, or Rizzo or Savannah or anything. Like, this feels to me like, to bring it to the world of sports, an NBA All-Star game. It is like a Legends weekend where they're there too. And I'm just seeing, and again, there's just a wow factor, which again makes me excited for our fantasy draft for next week. Cause like, I'm going to be nostalgia and nerding out.
It's like the Hall of Fame game being played with like Old Timers Day. Like, it's just, it's interesting. I love it.
Yeah, very, very fascinating. Now, we saw another journey in this episode, and one thing I hated about it, so Colby, Mike, and Savannah end up heading off on this journey, all right? And then they get there, and immediately, one of you are not going to participate in this thing, and they just do a quick rock draw, and Mike just gets right back on the boat and goes back to camp. I was like, what was that? That was like a jip. I mean, I wanted to see more than that, decide it, and then obviously it turned into the stacking challenge. Let's talk about that. What'd you guys think?
I thought it would have been interesting if they said you all have to decide who doesn't play, or none of you play and all three of you lose your vote.
Yeah.
And kind of make it a rock draw. I mean, we see these rock draws all the time for these journeys. Make it more inclusive for all the players to play involved. So I don't know. I didn't love the rock draw. I felt bad for Mike White, and it could have been a lot better.
Yeah, it feels like a cop-out to me, to be honest. Like, hard decision, or just randomly draw. Well, all right, I guess we can just draw. Let's pick some random seashells on the beach. Yeah, these two look sort of similar. This one's weird. Bing, boom, bim. Well, I guess I'm out. So, yeah, I like when you sort of force the strategy in there. Now, I want to go back because, Steven, you talked about this with this very journey. So, in theory, you've got the three people. As Lurch said, you have Mike White, Colby, Savannah. Mike, geez, I'm not in. Hops on the boat, he leaves. It's Colby and Savannah doing this puzzle stacking challenge, and interesting strategy back and forth. Savannah says she's short, try to stack it sideways. He's like, I'm tall, I'm stacking it vertical, and then it all falls apart. And Savannah, in theory, keeps her vote, gets no advantage. Colby loses vote. Geez, here we go. I've seen a lot of people playing Monday morning quarterback on, Colby, you idiot. She didn't immediately get on her boat when you went on your boat. You should have known that was something. But should he have known that is something? Like, that seems easy for us to say, watching it live, like, what a moron. But, like, being there, and especially Colby, who's been MIA for so long, I would like to think that I would have noticed that and said, you know what, I'm sticking around, or I'm waiting to see what happens, unless he was forced on the boat. Like, I think a lot of people are criticizing Colby, but, like, is it fair to criticize Colby with us knowing all the answers, as opposed to, it's just sort of unfortunate happenstance that this happened, Stephen?
I mean, hindsight's 2020, obviously, and I probably would have made the same decision as Colby and just thought, oh, the boat's right behind me. It's going to come pick up Savannah. But I guess also in that moment, you also have to be thinking of every other option.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how much new era Colby has seen. So
sure, that's also true.
But then again, that's also his fault for coming back and playing 50 and not watching if he hasn't. So I don't know. There's so many variables, and I want to blame him, but I can't.
Okay. Okay, so Savannah, right? So she actually gets an advantage. So she gets a secret block of vote for the future to use. She comes back and says, "Oh, I just kept my vote," and Devin's like, "Bullshit!" Like that's definitely, there's no way that's
Skips it out right away.
Right. So if you're Savannah, do you tell the truth about this, or do you try to lie and hope they buy it? Because to me, I'm lying and hope they buy it, and hopefully I sold a good story. Because there's the secret block of vote. As soon as I tell everyone that, they're like, noted. New girl that we know nothing about tells us about our advantage. Yeah, that's plenty of reasons to get rid of her. But would you?
And you know what I would have done if I was Savannah? See, here's the thing that Savannah didn't sell. Okay. So we saw it live, and we were like, oh man, wow, this is it. You're going to lose a vote, and you're just keeping your vote for a challenge. This makes no sense. This doesn't usually happen, right? So we feel this sense of unfairness at his ends. Colby's walking away. He's getting on the boat. He's got no vote. Savannah keeps her vote. What was the point of the journey, right? And Mike White just went home. He went there and went back. So, like, what was the point of this whole journey? Well, obviously, we knew there was going to be a punchline, and we got the punchline. When she came back, I would have framed it this way, all right? I know this is going to sound weird, but there was, you can ask, Colby will back me up on this one, you kind of set the table to, I thought there'd be some advantage or something cool there too. But as it turned out, I just got to keep my vote. And listen, I'm telling you, that's the truth of it. And you can ask Colby next time we get in contact with Colby. You could tell it, he'll tell you, right? Because she could walk away and get away with that lie and kind of have the opportunity to have it backed up at some point, rather than just kind of go, yeah, and then not explain it at all, because everybody knows you should get something. She gets nothing. This is fishy.
That does sound super defensive, though. So, like, that you're coming up and saying, hey, I know this is going to sound weird, and I have definitely not rehearsed this story 50 times before I'm talking to you guys, but you could totally check with Colby. It's totally cool. Don't worry about it. Everything's great. Yes. And if I'm the other person, I'm like, yeah, this sounds super
liar, pants on fire.
Yeah, this seems super sus. I don't know, Steven?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough choice because
strategy here.
Do you go and tell everyone, hey, I have this block of vote and that makes you a big target? Or do you not say anything and you're even a target the way she is right now? Right. I think the best choice is to not go on a journey, especially this early. So I wouldn't have picked to go to a journey, especially in the first 3 days. Like, oh, man, I don't think that was the right choice. That being said, if I was Savannah, I would have gone the way Lurch said. I would have said, hey, Colby can back me up. I just got to keep my vote.
Just try to do something that convinces them that there's another layer. Or I know, I'm surprised too. I know I don't want you not to believe me. I'm a trustworthy person. Like, you got to sell it a little bit. It's like she didn't kind of sell it. She's just like, yeah, well, that was the way it went down. And she walked down to the beach, and they were like, yeah, right, sure. Well, she got something, and and then
or she could, or she could have confided in just one person and say, hey, I actually got something, and then knowing that it probably would have gone through the rumor mill and gotten around to everyone. So at least there's that beacon of truth out there that she did tell the truth. But
yes, to somebody, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess she didn't have that person yet.
Hey, let's do a quick shout out here. We have 500 people watching our Survivor post-game show. Thank you so much across our social media platforms. No matter where you are, make sure you jump in on youtube.com/@MCShowDigital. Subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification for the Survivor interviews. We will be doing them every single week throughout season 50. I can't wait to continue to do it. And it's going to be pretty awesome. So again, guys, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel down below and you will never miss it. Guaranteed. That is the best way to do it. This is probably an obvious one, boys, but I just feel necessary to ask it. Do the new era people just inherently have an advantage because of the rules seemingly more aligned to 26 days, and it looks like it's going to be super advantage heavy, which I'm not really surprised by? So the old schoolers are at a disadvantage, just sort of how everything is set up. Do you guys think that, or is that, again, drawing a conclusion too quickly here?
I'll offer first real quick on this one. I'll just say two quick things, okay? I do think there is one thing, and Steven brought it up earlier, that might actually help the old school players, and I'll use Coach and Colby as the two examples. Okay, so you have two strength players there who, let's face it, are getting up there. I mean, these guys are, I got to believe they're both in their 50s. Colby said he's in his 50s, and Coach has got to be in his 50s. I got to go somewhere in that neighborhood, right? So to me, having the 26 days physically isn't going to take the toll on them, and they'll be able to compete at a high level, I think, much better for the 26 days than they would if this thing went out through the full duration. So I think there's an advantage in his 50s.
Sense. Yeah, he's 54. Yep.
Yeah, okay. So I know what it's like to be that age. I mean, you just don't bounce back the same way than when you're in your 20s or even in your 30s. So that will help them there. But I do think in the end, Paul, that it is really, it's an advantage for the new schoolers. I mean, it was coming out a lot in the script tonight as the dialogue was going on, just like, Ozzy, I need Sari to help me out because I'm not much of a strategist. Colby, I don't let all this crazy stuff drives me nuts. I mean, they're already kind of stuck in their ways. So it's definitely going to be advantage new schoolers, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And I think the fact that I'm making that decision is based on Winners at War, where we saw the same thing happen. Old school went in with that same mindset, and new school came in and just knocked them all out. So as much as I hate it, I got to give advantage to the new era here. And I don't know if that's just nostalgia talking in my behalf, but it's just, I got to give the advantage to the new era.
I hope things can change during that. I'll just tell you another heartstring moment was Christian saying, hey, no one else knows this, but I became a father a handful of weeks ago. And, I can't wait till he sees this. And he talked about him being basically a secret advantage, his motivation. And I saw it posted on social media. I'm not sure if it was you, Steven, or somebody else, that Christian took to his Instagram and they saw it. A lot of people saw the Survivor episode tonight beforehand because they did it at a few Survivor parties. And Christian was in some sort of a movie theater that they were debuting the episode yesterday. And he was watching it with his son for that moment. And I'm like, oh, God, that just as a father myself, cool. It hit me right in the chops. So that was a cool moment. So, man, Christian's really selling me here.
In 6 weeks, to leave a baby, a newborn 6 week old, that's crushing. But that's also got to be such insane motivation. So, oh man, my kid is 3, and to leave at that age would break my heart. But 6 weeks, you're missing out on so much. So, even though it's just 26 days, you got pregame, you got postgame, and But to know that kid is going to grow up and watch you play that game, that's insane motivation.
And Christian's whole explanation for how you don't use certain lenses to light a fire and you use other lenses. They're all around in a little group and they're just holding that thing on the spot and it just starts to smoke. You're like, oh my God. I mean, did that actually work? It's like an elementary school science experiment that comes to life, and there's a whole nother way to make fire now on Survivor, man. I hope a lot of people would take a note here for the future.
Well, didn't they, Steven, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they do that in season 1? Isn't that how they got that
fire generated through eyeglasses?
I don't know if it was 3 or 4 pairs. I don't know if it was the same amount of science that Christian was bringing in, but I thought I remembered Jenna being on the tribe where they were able to crack that coconut of getting it in there. But no, we haven't seen it in a while though, for sure.
I know they did it in Fiji. Season 14, Michelle Yee started a fire with glasses. That's got to be so hard though. I don't know.
Well, what about the choices here? Let's go back to this. So, it was cool to get the Dragon Slayer versus Aussie South Pacific.
Right out of
Hey,
the
you guys
chute.
are fine. Oh
Loved
my
it.
God! When and Devon's was just going, let's do this for the fans. Let's get Aussie versus Dragon Slayer. And I was like, oh man, with all the drama, that's great.
That was
And then
great.
some Q action gets sprinkled in. So Dragon Slayer wins it. Okay, first off, this part. Do any of you think that it was I keep using the word squeamish, but that's not the right word, that it was like a slanted victory, that like there was any foul play going on there with Dragon Slayer? Because obviously that's going to build into next week. So just real quick around the room, do you guys believe there's any foul play with Ozzy doing what perceived to be a lot of the work and then Dragon Slayer got it at the end? Was that fair or foul, Steven?
It was fair. I would say it was in the rules. It was fair. Was it a cheap shot? Absolutely. But coach has to live with that. And the fact that he lied about it is going to bite him in the butt, I think. But it was a fair move.
Lurch?
Totally fair. 100%. This is season 50, man. Get after it. Ozzy knew they were. We were hearing them essentially even talk about it. That when it gets down, it's going to be a free for all fighting for it. And they were lucky that Q didn't really get all that much into the mix, and then Q ends up giving away, taking the supplies back and giving Ozzy, the advantage.
Well,
situation.
that's where I want to go next. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so okay, I wanted a fair or foul. I think it was totally fair, and but again,
Totally fair.
I grab my popcorn. I can't wait for the drama where Dragon Slayer is going to call out Ozzy in front of everyone.
If coach had said like, if coach had said like, I won't steal it, and then he did, like, then that's kind of like a jerk move. But he never said that. Yeah,
no,
he did not. And if I were coach, in all honesty, I would have just owned it back at camp. I beat Ozzy, and you know what? I made him do all the work, and then I stole it from him at the end. Like, the tribe would have dug that,
but that's not very Dragon Slayer-ish, though, right?
I know.
To defeat the warrior.
He's always trying to toe that ethical line. You got to stop trying to do that in Survivor, man. This isn't an ethical game. In the end, there is $1 million at play, and everyone wants to get it. And that does crazy things to people, no matter how honest you are, no matter how loyal you are, no matter how old school you are. It's $1 million. Coach is out there playing for $1 million just like anyone else. So I love that he plays his game that way, but I think there are times where that game sags because this is not a game where you can play that to the very end.
All right. And go ahead, Steven.
No, I always think of Twyla from season 9, Vanuatu, and she goes, this is $1 million. People have murdered for a lot less than this. Like, it's true.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to crochet that one on a pillow. The other part of it that I wanted to get to is so Ozzy. So again, Dragon Slayer wins. He's like, "Thanks everybody. Oh, you guys got some cool thing to do here without me. All right, God bless." He leaves, and Ozzy and Q are like, "Sweet, maybe we got something here." And then they're like, "Oh crap, we're on Exile Island," and everyone loves seeing people suffer. And then when they're about to get on the boat, they find out that here's the twist: that you guys have to agree. And so it goes back to Steven's point earlier on a different advantage that we're talking about during this 3-hour debut, but this one they had to do it. So one of them sold their vote and they brought the supplies back and get some curry some favor with their tribe, and the other one got their vote, they kept that of course, and then got an extra vote to use at some point in the future. And Ozzy 1.0 2.0 saying, I am screw the tribe, and they're the one who got the glasses keyed anyway, so it ended up working out that they didn't need the flint and extra supplies to do it anyway. But he gets the extra vote for later. Again, right play, wrong play. What would, if you were in that moment, what would you have chosen? Because again, if you get the supplies, I imagine at Curry's favor, like, oh, cool, you did something for us, but you don't have your votes. You got to trust your alliance. Or the other side, getting that extra vote later, and then you walk back empty-handed. What's the right play? Steven, you first. What would you have done in that moment?
I think in the game of Survivor, the only thing for sure is that your vote is your currency, and you don't ever give that up.
Yeah.
I think Jeff was making a point with the supplies. There's chances to win them in the future. You could go a few days without a machete, but to give up your vote, I would never have done it.
Totally fight for the extra vote. Absolutely. Positively. That was terrible negotiation by Q.
Yeah.
And now they find themselves in this predicament. Now Cody's lost a vote and Q's lost a vote.
And now Kyle's gone.
and
Oh,
Kyle's
boy.
gone. I mean, that
Yeah.
alliance is coming apart. They better hope they don't lose anytime soon. I
And
mean,
especially that they
very,
were
very
exiled right off the bat. Like people are making alliances back at camp, and now you're going back after being exiled for a night. They're making bonds, and then you don't even have a vote. Like Q, what are you doing?
Yeah, that was incredibly silly, but I will say that I enjoyed it and cool.
Oh yeah, it's great TV.
And Ozzy and Suri linking up, to me, to have Suri
Wow.
slit the throat of Ozzy in the past and bathe in his blood. And
Mm.
now these two with their superpowers, right? Suri's social game and Ozzy's everything else, Jungle Boy back to life. The fact that we have these two puzzle pieces coming together, to me, again, we talk about that, Survivor fan fiction where we're like, oh my goodness, like, is this even possible? And now we
It's
have
a full
these people
circle
together.
moment. Yeah,
It's really cool. Really cool.
And we're in episode 1, and Ozzy's got 2 advantages right now. He's got an extra vote and an idol. I mean, I'd say he's off to a pretty good start. I mean, and then he's got Suri working the ropes for him, and she's dangerous. They should have voted her out tonight.
I met Suri, and she is so charming in person. I mean, Suri could punch me in the face, and I would say thank you. Like,
thank you, ma'am. I have another. Thank you, ma'am.
But to see her and Ozzy come back together, I love it. It's so poetic, and it's like it's like I wrote it myself. It's just fan fiction. It's outrageous.
This was a very beautiful moment that apparently was immediately destroyed. But I loved that again. So we have Ozzy versus the Dragon Slayer and Q's this awkward third wheel. And they show up before they do battle. And Dragon Slayer talks about, like, man, this is a conversation we should have had for a long time.
Yeah.
And where Coach has said this a lot, that he believes Ozzy poisoned the jury against him, and that screwed him from winning. And he has said that for years and years and years and years, and even leading into this game, and that he's a big nemesis, is Ozzy. And they get on the beach, and they apparently, before they do all the action, they have this conversation. They have this handshake where Ozzy says, "Hey man, I should have vouched for you to win." And Dragon Slayer's like, "You know what? It's on me. I should have done this." I said, "Wow, look at this beautiful conversation that like Survivor has brought them together." I'm like, and I wrote it down, like, wow, what a cool moment. And now next time on Survivor, I was just like, wow. So that I lasted all of 5 seconds, but in that moment, though, that was beautiful that we could have these two guys. And again, Survivor's the thing where they're forced on a beach together, and they have this conversation that maybe they needed to have for a long time, but now it doesn't matter. So that was great.
Yeah, it's this heartwarming moment, and it's just washed right away.
Yeah, that's going to make this season a lot spicier.
I was trying to explain to my wife is watching this season, and she only started watching like around Winners at War. So she asked me to take a piece of paper and just draw lines to connect to who played with what other players in each season. And like after a half hour, I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I sound like a lunatic. Like, I'm trying to explain all these things. And I'm like, they played with this person and they did this to that person. And they're also friends in real life with this person. And she was like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, she watches all those Bravo shows. So she's trying to like make connections to the housewives and stuff. I'm like, no, this is not even close.
Wow.
Hey, Steven, again, I don't know what else Lurch has on the sheet there, but I just want to... I want you to be able to provide me any insights. Again, we're going to be doing our Survivor Fantasy Draft next week. I think me and Lurch have both agreed that we're going to try to do it not after another episode. There's just too much going on, too many castaways. We're going to lose too many people, and I don't want to do it. So me and Manchild and Brett LaBelle, for that matter, will do our Survivor Fantasy Draft at some point between now and then. And folks, again, that's another reason to make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll make sure we have that live Survivor Fantasy Draft where you guys can get into the mix, and that'll be a lot of fun. Do you have any tips or tricks, Steven? Because again, my nostalgic vibes are plucking my heartstrings. I'm
a ready sucker to watching tonight and going, I just like this guy. I like this woman. I like this person. I might have to pick them. I want to root for the people that I love.
But that maybe not the smartest decision, right? Because so I'm battling that in my brain. So Steven, what's the advice?
It's tough. You got to take the emotions out of it. And like Lurch just said, you like these people, but do the other people like them? You got to look at it at that point of view. And also, how useful are they to the other players? If I'm looking if I'm Suri and say I love Joe, hypothetically, I might not pick Joe if I don't think he's going to work well with Suri. So you got to take that emotion out of it. And it's tough because these things just flip on a dime. Going into this episode, I never thought Jenna would have been the first target because I never thought she would have came out so aggressively.
Right.
So it's so tough. So I don't know. You got to make a choice based on no emotion, but not cold logic. It's a weird mix.
One more follow up here. Okay, so we are, again, it's all decided. We're only going to get this one episode and anything else, I guess you can find on the internet, I guess, to base on your decisions. I try to avoid any spoiler stuff. Me and Lurch have been that way when you told us, hey, actually, yeah, like when it was season 50, we were like, oh, wow, I wonder who it's going to be. You're like, I know who it's going to be. We're like, I didn't know. Me and Lurch, we genuinely did not know.
We like genuinely being surprised.
I do. So that's why I'm not looking ahead of this fantasy draft. I do some slimy stuff, but if there's any spoilers out there in the universe, I will not go to that level. But
Survivor did something stupid this season where they had the pre-merge people fly home on one plane and the people who made the merge fly on a second. And there were stalker fans at LAX who documented everything. I don't know any of it. I don't know a single thing.
You just know it happened?
I know it happened. I don't know who was on what plane, but it's out there. So be careful.
Okay. I won't go there.
Dangerous place, my friend. Stay off the internet.
Yeah, I will. My only question is this: how much? Where it is, but I will make sure I don't go down those dark holes.
Yes.
But the question is, how much should we take from this episode? Because sometimes you can overreact to things. You could see someone in a tough position. You're like, well, they're screwed, and then they can come out of it. Or the other way, we think someone's in a great position. Ooh, that's going to be a top draft choice. Look, they've got this beautiful alliance set up. I'm in great shape. So how much should we factor into our fantasy draft, which is long-term, over the short term of the one slice we saw and the only slice we're going to see before we make these decisions, Stephen?
I would think long-term, but also have this as a foundation on your potential choices.
So you would base a lot of your fantasy draft over what we just saw?
Maybe 25%.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's tough because before this episode, I would have thought Dee would be in a great spot, and she's not. Sure. So it's a tough coin toss. It's so hard to make these fantasy decisions because it's not like sports where you have these stats that are concrete, that are replicable. There's so many variables here. You could have someone who just slept poorly one night and they wake up in a piss mood and they're just fighting with people. Like, there's so many variables that are just not comparable to any other fantasy situations.
Just to know Jenna was potentially on my short list, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm glad we got an episode out of the way there.
Can you imagine?
I know maybe some people would think she was a long shot, but I think sometimes when you get somebody who's been deplugged for so long, you don't have that immediate target on their back.
Right, sure.
And I think tactically, she just, she wanted to play a different game. Like we said at the very beginning of all this, everybody seems to be bringing their 2.0 or 3.0 or 4.0 version, and she was definitely bringing a different version that she didn't play the first time, and that did not work out, as they say.
And just the last thing I have is just a cool stat that Jeff said at the beginning. We have 50 seasons, 751 players have played, and these are the 24 they picked. I know we can all argue about who should have made it and who didn't. I love Amanda. I wish she would have been on. I know a lot of fans feel that way, but you know what? We have who we have. I'm super excited for this season. I don't know if I've ever been more excited for a Survivor season. I've just been so hyped up for this season, the nostalgia, the new people, and how it's all going to figure out. So, man, I just hope this season lives up to it. But I will say, if I'm basing it off one episode, I think it certainly lived up to it for me. They gave me everything I was looking for: nostalgia, drama, challenges, heartbreak with an injury. I mean, wow, that episode had it all. So if this is what we're in store for, I think we're in store for a historic Survivor season.
I fully agree. And I think I'm a little cautious because I was so hyped for Winners at War, and it turned out to not be everything I was hoping for. But that being said, I can't help as a Survivor fan to not be like completely thrilled, and just these returning player seasons make my heart beat faster than anything else. So I'm just loving everything.
Now, Steven, on the way out here, do you want to plug anything? Anything you want to plug? Tell people about the stuff that you do. It's always so much fun to read your stuff.
Yeah, no, I just post things on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Survivor Quotes X. It's based all nostalgia. We like to have fun on quotes, moments, stupid things that are just memes that I think are funny. So if you like Karen Grodell or anything that has happened in the previous seasons and like to have something on your timeline that's about Survivor and not that serious, then give me a follow and we'll have fun talking about everything Survivor.
And you have a Kathy fetish too. I found that out. So
I do. She's my number one.
Yes, she is. And I will just say this again: how I consume Survivor, whether it's a 3-hour episode, 2-hour episode, an hour and a half, whatever it is. My phone is thrown in the ocean when I'm watching it. No one can bother me. Hey, family, everyone, shut up! I'm watching Survivor. And when it gets to a commercial break, sorry, you can't talk to me then because I'm looking at Survivor Twitter, and so I have to be kept up with the latest details. And then we're back to the show. So Survivor Quotes X is an easy follow, literally and figuratively, as I'm going through it during the commercial break. So, Steven, thanks for kicking off season 50 with us.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it's always an honor to talk to you guys, and I always look forward to it.
All right. So that'll put a nice, neat bow on tonight's episode. Again, everybody, thanks for jumping in. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, youtube.com/@MCShowDigital. We'll be back again next Wednesday night. Survivor Back in the Fold, episode 2, season 50. It's going to be Coach, the Dragon Slayer, and Ozzy yelling at each other. I can't wait to see it, man. The coming attractions gave us a nice little taste of what we might get next week. Some conflict, dare I say, in the world of Survivor. So hard to believe that there's conflict in the world of Survivor. All right, we'll see you next week, folks. Everybody take care.